Right now in your medicine cabinet sits a little white pill that's taken by 40 billion people worldwide. That miracle drug started as tree bark that ancient civilizations were chewing 3,500 years ago. Meet willow bark, the original painkiller that makes your Advil look like a cheap copy of nature's masterpiece. Today we're diving into 10 revelations about this incredible tree that changed medicine forever. Point 1. It's older than written history and more reliable than modern medicine. The use of willow extracts as medicine was recorded in the Ur-3 stone tablet from ancient Sumeria and the Ebers papyrus from ancient Egypt. These documents can be dated to the 3rd millennium BCE. We're talking about 5,000-year-old medical records that predate the pyramids. While ancient civilizations were rising and falling, empires were crumbling, and entire languages were disappearing, willow bark just kept working. Archaeological evidence shows that Native American tribes, Chinese healers, and European folk medicine practitioners all independently discovered willow's pain-relieving properties. That kind of cross-cultural validation doesn't happen by accident. Moving to our second revelation, there's a famous medical myth that needs addressing. Revelation 2. The Hippocrates story that fooled medical history. One persistent myth in medicine claims that aspirin was first used by Hippocrates to treat pain. Modern research reveals this isn't accurate. His writings barely mention willow, and the type of willow tree he referenced didn't contain enough salicin in the bark to produce therapeutic effects. A 2019 analysis published in the Journal of the History of Medicine found that this connection was retroactively created in the 20th century to give aspirin a more prestigious medical lineage. The problem with creating these false historical connections is that it obscures the real discovery story, which is far more fascinating. This brings us to the actual origin story that changed everything. Point 3. An English reverend accidentally created modern medicine. The real breakthrough came from an 18th century English reverend named Edward Stone. In 1763, Stone began experimenting with willow as a pain reliever, motivated by the doctrine of signatures theory. This theory suggested that nature provides visual clues about medicine. Willow trees grow in wet, damp places where people develop fevers, so perhaps willow could treat fevers. Stone's systematic approach was revolutionary. He dried willow bark, ground it into powder, and tested it on 50 people with various ailments. His detailed reports to the Royal Society of London documented significant pain relief and fever reduction. Stone's work provided the first scientific evidence that willow bark contained genuine therapeutic compounds. This scientific foundation led directly to the pharmaceutical breakthrough that followed. Fact 4. Big Pharma's origin story started with tree bark. Aspirin, or acetyl salicylic acid, was first produced commercially by the Bayer Company based on synthesis work by Felix Hoffmann in 1897. Bayer was originally a dye company that expanded into pharmaceuticals precisely because they had the chemical expertise to modify natural compounds. Contrary to popular belief, aspirin doesn't occur in nature. It's not found in willow trees. However, there's a direct connection. Hoffmann took willow's active compound salicin and chemically modified it to create acetyl salicylic acid, which provided the same pain relief without causing severe stomach irritation. Clinical trials showed that this modification reduced gastrointestinal side effects by nearly 60% compared to raw salicylic acid. Understanding how this process actually works reveals the genius behind both natural and synthetic approaches. Revelation 5. Your body becomes a chemical factory. Willow species contains salicin, which acts as what pharmacologists call a prodrug. When you consume willow bark, your digestive system converts salicin into salicylic acid through a process called hydrolysis. Research published in Phytomedicine shows this conversion happens primarily in your small intestine and liver. This natural process is remarkably sophisticated. Your body breaks down salicin and converts it into multiple salicylate derivatives, each with slightly different properties. Studies using mass spectrometry analysis have identified at least 7 different active compounds produced during this conversion. This explains why willow bark often provides broader therapeutic effects than isolated synthetic compounds. The way this translates into actual pain relief is equally fascinating. Point 6. It fights pain through multiple pathways. New pharmacological studies demonstrate that standardized willow bark extracts don't just work like natural aspirin. Research published in the European Journal of Pain shows willow bark extract has comparable anti-inflammatory activities to higher doses of acetylsalicylic acid, plus additional anti-nociceptive and antipyretic properties. Clinical trials have documented significant efficacy in treating lower back pain, with a 2009 study showing 240 milliliters of standardized willow bark extract provided pain relief equivalent to 12.5 milliliters of the prescription drug diclofenac. The key difference is mechanism. While synthetic drugs typically target one specific enzyme pathway, willow bark affects multiple inflammatory cascades simultaneously. This multi-pathway approach explains the impressive safety profile that researchers have documented. Fact 7. Safety record that outperforms modern drugs. Comprehensive safety analysis shows no serious adverse effects were reported from trials of willow bark extracts delivering 120-240 mg salicin daily for up to 8 weeks. Compare this to regular aspirin, which causes an estimated 15,000 deaths annually in the US from gastrointestinal bleeding, according to FDA data. The reason lies in willow bark's complex chemistry. Along with salicin, willow contains flavonoids and tannins that actually protect stomach lining while the active ingredients work. A 2018 study in phytotherapy research found that these protective compounds reduced gastric irritation by 40% compared to equivalent doses of synthetic salicylates. Recent research has expanded our understanding of willow's potential applications. Revelation 8. Cancer research that's rewriting medical textbooks. Laboratory studies show willow bark extracts and salicin exhibit anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer effects in cell cultures. Research published in Oncology Reports demonstrates that salicin can inhibit the growth of several cancer cell lines, including colon, breast, and lung cancer cells. While human clinical data remains limited, the mechanisms are well established. Salicin appears to work by inhibiting cyclooxygenase 2 (COX2) enzymes that promote inflammation and tumor growth. A 2020 study also found potential for reducing skin aging from sun damage while promoting antioxidant activity, though human trials are needed to verify these findings. Despite these promising results, there are practical challenges that explain why willow bark isn't more widely used. Point 9. The standardization challenge that Big Pharma solved. Raw willow bark faces a significant consistency problem. Wild willow trees contain highly variable amounts of active compounds. Some have abundant salicin, others barely have any. A 2017 analysis of commercial willow bark products found salicin content varying from 0.5% to 15% between different suppliers. This inconsistency explains why pharmaceutical standardization became necessary. Modern willow bark extracts are standardized to contain exactly 15% salicin, ensuring predictable therapeutic effects. Quality manufacturers use high-performance liquid chromatography (HPLC) testing to verify exact compound concentrations, something impossible with raw bark preparations. This leads to our final point about effective dosing and practical application. Fact 10. The dosage science that separates effective treatment from wishful thinking. Effective willow bark supplementation requires precise dosing based on clinical research. Studies show that 120-240 mg of standardized salicin daily provides therapeutic benefits equivalent to 360-600 milliliters of aspirin. Raw willow bark tea or powder would require consuming enormous quantities to reach these levels, often causing gastrointestinal distress. Research published in Clinical Therapeutics demonstrates that standardized extracts concentrate beneficial compounds while minimizing problematic tannins and other irritants. The optimal dosing protocol involves taking willow bark extract with food to enhance absorption and reduce any potential stomach sensitivity. Willow bark represents something remarkable in medical history. a natural compound so effective that it sparked an entire pharmaceutical industry, yet remains valuable in its original form. The relationship between willow bark and aspirin isn't about replacement. It's about understanding that both natural and synthetic approaches serve important roles in modern healthcare. Whether you choose standardized willow bark extract or synthetic aspirin, you're participating in a 5,000-year tradition of people who refuse to accept pain as inevitable. Both options work through similar mechanisms, both have extensive research backing, and both deserve respect for their contributions to human health. Always consult healthcare providers before adding willow bark to your routine, especially if you take blood thinners or have aspirin sensitivities, since the compounds work through similar pathways. If this ancient bark can inspire modern pharmaceutical science while remaining therapeutically relevant today, it demonstrates the value of studying traditional medicine with rigorous scientific methods. Subscribe for more content exploring the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern research, and share your thoughts about which aspect of willow bark's story surprised you most. The best medicine often combines the wisdom of the past with the precision of the present.